I'd like to call the City of Marine City Commission meeting to order, Marine City Fire Hall, 200 South Parker, Thursday, August 2nd, 2018, 7 p.m. Could we please stand for prayer from Pastor Gadd, please?
Good evening. Let's take a moment and settle our hearts for just a moment. God of justice and mercy, thank you for the gift of life and the opportunity to serve the people of our city. Help us to act with character and conviction. Help us to listen with understanding and goodwill. Help us to speak with charity and restraint, and give us a spirit of service. Remind us that we are stewards of your authority. Guide us to be the leaders your people need. Help us to see the humanity and dignity of those who disagree with us, and to treat all persons, no matter where they are on life's journey, with the reverence your creation deserves. And finally, renew us with the strength of your presence and the joy of your helping to build a community worthy of the human person. We ask this as your sons and daughters, confident in your goodness and love. May it be so. Amen.
And the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Mayor Van Bosch.
Here.
Commissioner Avery.
Present.
Commissioner Hendrick.
Here.
Commissioner Callahan.
Here.
Commissioner Clausen.
Here.
Commissioner Leftley is absent this evening. Commissioner Turner.
Here.
City Manager Levin.
Here.
Can I get a motion to excuse Commissioner Lepley?
I make a motion to excuse Commissioner Lepley from this meeting.
Support.
Motion, support, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Moving on to communications. Need a motion to receive and file Michigan Municipal League, St. Clair County Watershed 2018, legal discharge training, and the TIFA minutes, June 21st, 2018.
I make a motion that we accept and file the communications as read.
Support.
Any questions or concerns on it? Yes, Lisa?
Just a quick question on the TIFA minutes. There was a note in here, I know we're going to be talking about the library sign in a little bit, but there was that the board approved the 23-9 for this sign, which it's been directed that because it's not in their plan or not on the list that we provided, that that's not allowed.
The commission clarified that in a letter which outlined the expenditures that were permitted going forward.
And that was not one of them.
Correct.
Okay. And then it says here that Mr. Weisenbaugh said he spoke to the state of Michigan. He was told the city commission cannot freeze the board. We didn't really freeze it, we just stopped spending, correct?
Stopped approving spending.
Correct. Just clarifications for the public. Thank you.
Any other questions or concerns on it? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Moving on to public comment. Anyone in attendance is welcome to address the city commission. Please state your name and address, and please limit your comments to 5 minutes.
All right. Hi, I'm Ray Melly, 408 Pearl Street. I just want to talk tonight a little bit and regarding, there's different things that's going on in our town. And actually, I like to address the new people. Welcome to Marine City. And the reason why I'm saying that is you want to get involved in our town, this is our town. And to get involved, you got to get involved in clubs, organizations, and you find out there's people in this town that are really genuine people that you could get along with. And then you're going to meet friends, and then you're going to be welcome. This is our town, and take your pride and heritage of our town. And you might try out different clubs, what ones you might like, but you have to trial and error. Whatever meets your needs. But when you find a club that you have a lot of fun in, and you enjoy it, and you enjoy the people, then you're a part of our town. And the other thing is, I wanted to address now the commission. A lot of times there's things that's going on when the people are speaking from the pulpit. And we, the people, are not the enemy. Sometimes we will say things out of the box, and it's your place to take the movement that the person has said, and if you're able to move on it, or let them think. Because after all, you guys are only 7 votes. It takes 4 votes to pass an agenda. And it's very important that I want to see our city to grow. And the more involvement with the people that are involved in our town, it becomes an enjoyable community. Right now, we've been making our town a destination. And I'm very proud. You go downtown, you see all the lively activities that's going on. You think the ferry's still working. But that's another thing that I'd like to see us to get onto the, moving on Lansing and start pushing, get that ferry. We definitely need that ferry for Canada traffic, especially in the wintertime. And there's other things that I want to speak from my heart, that this coming Tuesday is voting for primary, and there's going to be candidates on there. And if you're not involved in a club, you don't know the candidates. You can see signs, or you can see hearsay or whatever, but really to get to know the people, you go involved in different activities. And one more item that I want to say was, this last Saturday, we had Old Newsboys. It was a fundraiser that we have some plans that we might do something with the kids in the summertime. But I just want to say my daughter had a fantastic time, and at the end of the thing, everybody was leaving, and then I asked the guy on the fire truck, can my daughter get a ride to the fire station? And that made her heart, and I forgot his name. I want to give him credit, but that was so super. And if we do have the agenda again next year, I definitely want to have a tug of war against the police department and fire department. And oh yeah, I did make a moat, so the losers get dunked in the water, but it was a lot of fun. And it was such an enjoyment seeing all the kids. And that's part of being in a group. You know, if you're not involved in a club, you don't know. And, you know, unless you see signs, or if you're involved in Facebook or whatnot. But I just want to be a positive note and say, you got to go out and vote on Tuesday. And I like to see our community come together as one family. Thank you.
Anyone else like to speak? Mr. Hilbrand.
I go back 525 Woodward Street. A couple things. First, I want to thank the couple candidates that we have here tonight for coming. I wish we would see all of them here. I'm not really sure how you can expect your consistency to take you seriously if you don't come to these meetings. You know, especially, you don't even have to come to the podium, just come to the meeting. And hopefully we'll see some of them before November. Otherwise, they're going to make it pretty easy for our voters. The other thing is, Commissioner Hendrick already kind of touched on the seemingly wild, wild west that we have going on with Tifa and the Cowboys out there. I mean, I don't know, guys. You know, to go to the state and try to go around what I hear 2 different attorneys' opinions to see whether or not you're spending is frozen or the fact that you can approve further expenditures is ridiculous. Like, it's just time to give it up. You guys, I'm sorry, like, it is unfortunate that we have to give up, you know, the few tax dollars that we're now not going to collect, which is a small portion, a very small portion, for those that don't know. It isn't the full property taxes of the business districts. It's just a very small portion. And it's unfortunate we have to give that up. It would be nice to keep that going, you know, because it's money that we're not going to have. But like I said, it's a small portion. So, you know, and that's money that we can use for better things. TIFA funds are only supposed to be used in TIFA districts, and all that money is a pretty good chunk of overall revenue once it finally joins the, you know, the general fund. You know, the TIFA board wasn't exactly good on focusing on priorities. That's something I've gotten up here and I've spoken on numerous times, how we really got to focus on priorities. Got to focus on our needs, not our wants. And that's something the TIFA board kind of got lost in. There's a lot of things that they funded that we really didn't need. The things that we just wanted, or they wanted, or some of their buddies wanted. So I'd like, you know, I'm glad to see it dissolved, because we need to move forward. We need to stop all that. Our money, our tax money should be spent by people that we have elected, not people that are volunteers or appointed by former administrations. You know, while I'm speaking about priorities, the library sign. I mean, I stopped by the library today. Supposedly it's hazardous to put letters on it. Not really sure what that's about, but I looked at it. You know, I thought maybe the hinges were rusted or like it was going to look damaged in some way, that it's going to like fall on them when they open it up. It looked fine. There was nothing wrong with it. So to ask for us to spend $24,000 when we owe $22 million, we need $22 million to pay for water and sewers right now and for immediate emergency, almost emergency repairs, and also another $1.7 million for roads. And we're considering a $24,000 LED sign. We just don't need it. We don't need that. Some of the other things, because I've looked through the minutes, that the library was concerned about was they couldn't advertise enough on that sign. They could only put two different things, one on each side of the sign. You know, use Facebook. It's a great, great avenue for communication. And that's all you'd have to do. Advertise your events on Facebook. Problem solved. Or, as Commissioner Hendricks said before, we got a sign in front of the DPW we really don't use. Move it on down. You know, make that into the library sign. But don't approve no $24,000 sign that we really don't need. That's just crazy. Yeah, just everybody get out and vote Tuesday. I know it's just a primary, but it's super important. And that's about it. Thanks.
Anyone else? Hearing none, we'll move on to approval of the agenda.
I'd like to make a motion to amend the agenda to add an item right after number 13, a closed session for review of a legal opinion regarding consideration of the purchase or lease of real property.
Support. Motion support to amend the agenda and add, what was that? 13.
Yeah, it's right after 13, between 13 and 14, closed session.
Any questions or concerns on it? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. So now, we have to approve the agenda now, because you just amended it, correct? Okay. Can I get a motion to approve? Mr. Avery?
I make a motion that we approve the amended agenda.
Support.
Motion, support. Any questions on the agenda? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Moving on to the approval of the city commission meeting, July 19th, 2018.
I'll make a motion to approve the regular meeting minutes of July 19, 2018.
Support.
Motion, support. Any questions or corrections or deletions on the minutes? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Moving on to the consent agenda. I need a motion to approve the special event for the Startup School and the special event for Heritage Days.
Two separate ones?
No, just one. Mr. Avery.
Make a motion that we approve the consent agenda consisting of the two events listed.
Support. Motion, support. Any questions on the consent agenda? Yes, Mr.
I
Avery.
do have a question. On the item B, Heritage Days, by approving this, we assume that there are no problems with city agencies as far as use of the building for that event. There's been comments back and forth about fire issues and various other things, and I'd like to make sure that it is all ready to go when we approve it here.
Are you referring to using the 300 Broadway to do tours? The inside, or are you just talking the whole thing in general?
The whole thing in general, which includes tours, use of the building inside, use of, yes.
Has that issue been resolved as far as having exit signs and all the requirements for?
Last year, they went through a full inspection on it, and
That's
if it was, it would have to have a change if it was a daily use, being it was occasional, and for that particular purpose, it was inspected fine.
Okay, so it applies just like it did last year, since
Correct.
there's no other change. Thank you.
Any more questions or concerns? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Avery,
Yes.
Commissioner Hendrick,
Yes.
Commissioner Callahan,
Yes.
Commissioner Clausen,
Yes.
Commissioner Turner,
Yes.
Mayor Vanderbosch.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, moving on to, we have no unfinished business, so we're going to move on to new business. Library sign approval.
I'll start addressing this. We do have a request from the Friends of the Library that is just looking for permission from City Commission to change the sign. There's no funding or anything that would be required on the part of City Commission. I guess I can extend that or to Tifa, just for clarification. There won't be any public funds that would be expended on this. It's just with this being city property, it is something that they're required to come before City Commission for permission. All that they're doing, in essence, is swapping out the sign for an electronic sign, and any expenses for the sign, installation, anything is going to be on them.
Okay.
There is representative here if you have any questions.
Mrs. Shield, you're stepping up.
Good evening. My name is Jill Shield. I live at 304 North Main Street, Marine City, and I'm on the Marine City Library Advisory Board. I'm here tonight to request approval for replacing the existing library sign with a new electronic sign. You can refer to your packets. I believe there's pictures of both. The Marine City Library is extremely fortunate to have been given a very generous memorial contribution from a patron who thought so much of our library. In addition to the memorial, our Marine City Friends Group will also contribute to the cost of the sign. This is the condition of the sign. Water leakage is a huge problem and is damaging the sign. In cold weather, the water seeps in and the sign freezes shut. In warm weather, the leaked-in water turns moldy. Water drips in and sits in the pockets where the letters go. The letters are cracking and they're hard to use. The lighting is dim and changing the bulbs is almost impossible. The plexiglass cover is floppy and doesn't stay up while working on the sign. Our library staff does their very best to promote upcoming events using the existing sign, but with the hazardous conditions, it is not an easy task. With a new electronic sign, the library staff can use the computer inside the library to program and promote multiple programs from toddlers to teens to senior citizens, and also promote events such as our book sales. The library's new electronic sign will be a wonderful tool to inform and enrich our community and promote Marine City. I asked the representative how many events we can put on, and she said thousands. I mean, and we won't do that, but we can promote what's going on through our county, different events that are sponsored by them, and we can actually promote it for our end of the county. The company we have chosen to get our sign from is the Phillips Sign and Lighting Company out of Harrison Township. This is the company we have chosen. Other local businesses that have used this company for signage are the Inn on the Water Street, the Riverbank Theater, the Snug Theater, the Glass Company on Marine City Highway, the dentist Dr. McCormick, the signage on the Beach Pavilion. Your support of our sign project for our library is greatly appreciated. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anyone have any questions for?
Oh, it's not a question. I see that they're not asking for any expenditure of city funds. Has nothing to do with Tifa. Appears to be an improvement for the city. I am happy to hear this. Thank you.
We're very fortunate to have a generous donation, a contribution, and then our friends have, through our book sales, have agreed to pay. And we have voted, both the advisory board and the Friends group unanimously voted for the new sign.
I make a motion to approve it, for the library sign to be approved.
Support.
Motion support. Any other questions on it?
This is nothing personal, but I understand that it's a donation. We learned the hard way with the sign that we had put in down by the DPW, how after a while they become pretty, unfortunately, useless, and that Mike's right, social media becomes the way that most people, not all, see a lot of the information. I would have hoped to have seen a donation like this going for programs for literacy or equipment. We've got several individuals in this community that need reading machines, and so my opinion is, you know, the DPW sign could have been moved down there. It does exactly the same thing. It would have needed to have a new header on it, but they spent over $30,000 on that sign, and it's pretty pointless for us anymore for what we can put on it, but it would have been, it's exactly the same sign as what you're gonna put in. So, I just, you know, I understand what you're trying to do, but I would have thought that maybe it would have been a better way to go, to take a free sign and then utilize some of that money for some of the programs in the community. Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate what you're saying, and there are so many programs. I mean, we have 12 computers and laptops, and we have senior citizens groups, and there are so many things going on, LapSit, and of course the Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny, but there are so many tutoring programs going on and that we'd like to advertise these more than just two things. And so we do have a lot, and I understand what you're saying, and thank you.
The other sign does exactly the same. I mean, it's the same sign, basically.
Right, it is, but we like this, and it was unanimous vote.
I understand.
So, if you'd like to, sure. This is Allison.
Hi.
Hi.
Thank you so much for just a few seconds, and I do want to address your concerns. I'm the director of the St. Clair County Library System. I work out of the Port Huron branch, but I work closely with our library board trustee, Shar Stanulis, who represents your area. In terms of library program, one of the things that this very generous donor wanted to have happen was that this would be a lasting type of a donation, something that didn't get used up without some kind of ability to point to it and recognize that this person valued their library system or their branch in particular in Marine City. The donation itself, the language of the estate said that it should be used specifically for the benefit of the Marine City residents for the Marine City branch library. To put it into materials, the materials are actually owned by the library system, not the branch. So that doesn't address the specificity of the branch improvement. Equipment such as computers, et cetera, again, owned by the library system, not the branch. So again, we were trying to identify some improvement to the facility or the property or to the activities that would be very specific to the branch that would benefit the residents of Marine City as the request specified. The reading materials that you were, the machines?
The machines.
Yes, we are actually, little advertisement, we're actually celebrating our 40th anniversary as a library for the blind and physically handicapped. We serve over 200 patrons, and we would love to serve more. If you know people who are in need due to physical impairments or just an inability to get out, the library system has service, and we work with the state library and we work with the federal libraries to have machines that are free to people with those disabilities, and it would not be an impact on Marine City residents whatsoever. It's free. So if you know somebody, please communicate with us, and that service is already available.
So you have reading machines that are available for people to take home that they can use to read other material? They're readers. Okay, we've had 2 requests over at the Lions, and these readers are like $2,000 a piece.
Magnifiers?
No, readers. You put the material on there, and then it actually reads it to the person, whatever book they put on there.
We do not have that at all of the branches. We do have it up at Main Library in Port
Yeah.
Huron. However, I will say that next week, we have just hired a brand-new librarian who is going to be specializing in senior services and the Library for the Blind and Physically Handicapped, and she also has grant writing experience. So my hope is that we will utilize her skills and abilities to get us more equipment for that population specifically. So we are working towards that. But like I said, I wanted to make certain, in working with the Friends, in working with the advisory board, and specifically with my trustee, to make sure that these monies that were donated go to the residents by improving the library branch here. So I hope I've spoken quite long enough. I'm sorry.
That's
Thank you
okay.
so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other questions or concerns on it? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Carried, motion carried. Moving on to the temporary traffic control order T 18-0011. Can I get a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve temporary traffic engineer's order controlling parking on city streets T 18-0011 for the request we had at the last meeting for the Broadway.
Support.
Motion support. Any questions or concerns on it?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. And maybe I misspoke. I'm thinking that we only need the no parking on the north side of the street. I don't think we have to stop parking on both sides of the street for that whole day. I mean, it'll be used by people attending there's a lot of things going on down there at the end of at Broadway Park down there. And I do believe we need it closed on the north side, or the no parking on the north side, but I think we can open parking on the south side.
Yeah, because the parade actually goes on the north
North
side.
side,
We don't have
yeah.
anything to do with the south side, so.
Right.
And,
So what do we do with this?
we just need to amend it.
Could
You
approve
amend
it subject to that change.
I'll amend my motion subject to the not closing the one side, the south side.
Support.
Motion support. Any other questions or concerns on it? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Moving on to ordinance 2018-006, sidewalk, outdoor sales, and cafes. First reading. I need to get a motion to approve introduction of the ordinance. Mr. Avery.
I make a motion that we introduce this motion for the attention of the commission, the ordinance 2018-006.
Support.
Motion support. Questions or concerns on the ordinance?
If I can give maybe a brief summary
Yep.
on this?
Go ahead.
So this has already been to Planning Commission, and there was quite a bit of discussion regarding this. The proposed ordinance is going to amend the ordinance that we currently have that allows for a Planning Commission review for materials on the sidewalk. I did include the 4 paragraphs, or 5 paragraphs in essence, that would be deleted and replaced with this completely. The first part of it addresses displays of materials for retail sale on the sidewalk, and the second section addresses the outdoor cafe service. There was some question about some non-specific language regarding the buffer. In both sections, it does explain that we are expecting a 5-foot buffer. However, there is a discrepancy from what was originally approved in Planning Commission. I think it was probably a little bit of an oversight, and I did highlight that on your copy. It's on page 2. The language is sufficient room shall also be provided to allow car doors to open along the curbside. A similar sentence was deleted on the outdoor cafe service, which left it with just the language for the 5 feet unobstructed pedestrian access maintained. That was something that Bill Clausen, as the Planning Commission representative, had quite a bit of discussion regarding. There was some discussion about deciding that maybe the number should be changed, and consideration for things like doors opening, that it might be a couple of feet. At one point in time, they were talking about maybe kind of meeting in the middle and just changing the 5-foot number to 6 foot. So that's really the only thing that I would be looking at for a recommended change from my perspective, is to make these 2 paragraphs consistent.
Anybody got anything on it? Lisa?
All right, so on the first page, I know we're talking about materials intended for retail and a cafe, but I know I brought this up twice, but I don't see where in here it talks about if somebody just wants to have a bench and a plant, and they're not selling anything, and they're not doing a cafe. So where is that covered?
It isn't really specific.
Yeah.
I mean, you could potentially include it really in either one.
Well, I know the other gentleman that we had here, I've asked twice now that we have some type of inclusion of that in this, because we do have a number of businesses that do have benches and decorations, and they're not selling it, and they want to make sure that they're covered. So we need to kind of include that also to make sure, you know, so
Yeah,
that
we
we
can
don't
put
have to do a
language together for the
second ordinance,
second
you know.
reading.
Yeah, I want to do a second one. And then, so I got that one. Second page. So this is, this will just go through the zoning administrator. It will not come to the board for any of these when
Correct.
they get approved. And then the zoning administrator can take it to the planning commission if they have issues
Correct.
that they see on there. I agree, I think the minimum should be 6 feet, not 5 feet. Because I've already seen one instance where one of our businesses had a table out there, and 4 chairs and a sign, and the whole sidewalk was blocked up, and I watched a pedestrian have to walk out into the street to get around it. So we definitely need to make sure that we have clear space, and I think 6 feet is good. What do we have in front of the Blue Pike?
I think it's about 6 feet.
Yeah, and that looks pretty adequate. I think that's kind of more what we should go by, and I would agree that we should change both those to a 6-foot instead of a 5-foot.
I think Bill had an opportunity to go out there and measure that space.
Yeah, I think it's, the tables are 6 foot, and then they've got, I'd say 1.5 foot, maybe 2 foot, out to the rail so that they're fenced in with that plastic chain. So they're probably out there anywhere between 7 and 7.5 feet.
So
I'm talking
he's,
about the extension out into the sidewalk. I'm talking about the clear space from
yeah.
curb to the
Oh,
fence.
From the clear, they've got,
Does he have close to 6 feet there?
yeah, he's got close to 6 feet.
Okay. I think, because he's got a wider portion, when you get down farther, it gets a lot narrower. And I just think the 6-foot would be a better avenue due to the fact that we have trees, doors. In the winter, we're gonna have snow. I know they're not gonna do it in the winter, but, car doors are a big issue.
Any other changes or considerations? Yes, Mr.
I
Turner.
just question the 6 foot versus 5 foot. Have you actually done some kind of a study? Have you actually parked a vehicle? First of all, you're not going to be parked up against the curb. And actually swung a door open to see how far it extends. I mean, if you park in a parking lot, you don't have 6 feet for door swing clearance. It seems like you're just going on your opinion and rather than getting facts.
We're not going on our opinion, we're going on the ADA requirements to make sure wheelchair accessibility for those people trying to get through a
Understand.
sidewalk. That's what we gotta deal with.
Do an actual study, swing a door open, see how far it goes from the curb into.
Depends on the car.
Can I finish? I'm addressing the mayor.
Please.
I would just ask if before you just go on personal opinion, actually do a study and see if it's relevant or not.
Well, if you go through the study and you go through ADA, your 5 foot is good for a one wheelchair. But if you were two are gonna pass, you need 33 inches on each one of them, or 33
Two wheelchairs passing each other?
passing each other. And I'll give you the ADA book and you can read it.
Same time that a door is open? Okay.
Yes, Lisa.
Yeah, I mean, this isn't just something you pull out of the air. Well, it's not. You have to base it on some of the ADA requirements. We already got into that issue before, and we've had people tell us that we don't follow ADA. And he's been trying to tell everybody that you have to make sure that you have the passable too. And trying to do a study on a door, you'd have to take every vehicle known to man to do some type of study, and I don't know how you're gonna do that. You have old cars. I know I have an old car. That door is twice as wide as the new car. They open differently. So I don't know how you'd ever do a study on that to start with. I think we need to be ADA compliant, and that's the real issue.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
These are recommendations from Wade Trim, correct?
They're the ones that drafted this, yes.
Right.
And then through the planning.
And it's based on studies in other communities that they work with? Okay.
ADA, I
Five was
believe
not
the
just
5
a-
feet is the minimum.
5 was not just a number that was pulled out of a hat?
No.
Okay.
No. But the language here that, in essence, adds on to the 5 feet, saying that sufficient room shall be provided to allow for car doors, that's really the thing that the building official has said that that's vague, and she would prefer to have a specific number so that it is easily enforceable instead of the vagueness of, in essence, what we've talked about with the car doors, that you do have fluctuation. So really, what I would be looking for is, I think, support to be able to strike that to match the other one that Planning Commission had approved. And moving forward, what number do we want in this for our second reading?
5.
Mr. Avery.
I think maybe we could use a little common sense.
I hope so.
We're here thinking about the confluence of issues occurring. I don't know if the phases of the moon are considered when we're passing wheelchairs and car doors at the same time.
Car doors with check straps, and that would be open for a matter of seconds, you know, common sense.
I think emotion is getting the best of us at this point.
Well, we already have one ADA complaint against the city, so I'm just telling you what it is. That's what I do every day. So,
All right, we need to get, we either gonna pick 5 or 6 feet.
Can I get consensus to at least delete the one line with the adequate space for the second draft?
Consensus to make it read the same. We want to,
Consistent between the two sections.
and then
But
we'll,
we need to hammer out and get a
5 or 6.
5 or 6. And that's just what we need to do. I mean, we keep going around the corner on this and can I get a motion for, we're gonna try 5 first. Let's try 5 feet.
I make a motion that we use the ordinance as written, recommending 5 feet as the hazardous danger area that people have to pass through.
I would support that.
Now, 5 feet's what was the pure minimum that they recommended.
Yes.
Yes, and that's striking the sufficient space, the vague paragraph or line afterwards.
All right, we got motion and support on 5 feet.
well,
Yes.
I believe that I asked that at the last meeting about putting consecutive numbers so that the enforcement could be done. And now, coming back with the city attorney, she states the same thing I stated before about the code enforcement officer would like that number so that she has a number, the 5 feet from the car door, the walkway, and the chairs and tables. If you just leave it wide open,
Well, that's what we just,
know,
we
right.
added an
Right.
exact number.
right,
Right now, the motion is for 5 feet to be definitive
Right.
with no other modifying language.
Any other questions and concerns?
It's 5 feet of sidewalk, correct? Not including the curb.
5 feet of clearance, right.
5 feet of clearance. That doesn't include the curb or?
What if you have
to
a
the back
tree?
of the curb,
It's sidewalk.
What if you got a tree in
back of
there?
the curb,
Back of the, where it meets the sidewalk.
right.
Yeah, where the curb meets the sidewalk.
Where the curb meets the sidewalk, 5 feet.
So we have trees, and we have garbage cans, and we have light poles within that 5 feet from the sidewalk, so what happens
It
there?
says unobstructed.
Unobstructed 5 feet.
Unobstructed, 5 feet.
So then it would be from the light pole towards the building.
It would be a path 5 feet wide, however you can get it.
It has to be an unobstructed path.
All right, I'm just bringing those up because they're all in
This
there.
thing to that.
We are.
Well,
All right, any other questions or concerns on the 5 feet? Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Hendrick.
no,
Commissioner Callahan.
Yes.
Commissioner Clausen.
No,
Commissioner Turner.
Yes.
Mayor Vandembosh.
Yes.
Commissioner Avery.
Yes,
Motion carries.
when we get sued, I get
We get sued. Moving on to the next one. We've got, financial business. Disbursements, including payroll for $400,084, 495 and 86 cents.
motion to approve the disbursements for $484,495.86. 86 cents? Yeah.
86 cents, yes. Motion support. Questions or concerns on the disbursements, including payroll? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Callahan.
Yes.
Commissioner Clausen.
Yes.
Commissioner Turner.
Yes.
Mayor Vandembosh.
Yes.
Commissioner Avery.
yes,
Commissioner Hendrick.
yes.
Carries.
City managers report, please.
The meetings I've attended since my last notice is Blue Meets Green, SEMCOG water monitoring and a local SEMCOG update, pension, ZBA, and also a Black Sky simulation event, which was very interesting and eye-opening. The auditors have completed their preliminary stages in our office, and we should, I think, hear back from them probably in a month or two. The swing dedication is going to be next Thursday at the beach at 6:30 p.m. The pre-con meeting for the road improvements is going to be on the 7th. Potentially by the end of August, they will be working on milling that road section. The project hopefully should only be about 7 to 10 days for completion of it. There will be some road closures at certain times when they're doing the mill work and some of the pavement. We will have signage for detour routes, hopefully out 2 to 3 weeks prior to the repairs. Just want to say thank you to Lynn Zarowski. She retired. Today was her last day in the office. Wanted to thank her for her years of service to the city. Everybody get out and vote. Tuesday the 7th would be the election day for the primaries. And then also Maritime Days starting up tomorrow through the weekend, so hopefully we'll get a lot of participation and people coming out to enjoy that. That's all I have.
Any questions for the city manager? Hearing none, moving on to commissioner privilege. It's going to be shocking. Mr. Avery, would you start us out?
All right. I have been spending a lot of personal time working on a very important project for a member of my family. I have not had time that I was aware of to go out and offend anybody. However, this weekend somebody chose to walk across the hood of my car, either at home or at the shop. I assume this is a rather low IQ person. They didn't want to send a message to me directly. So my sense of humor towards some city things has been dimmed a bit by this. With that, I certainly hope that we get attention for the election coming up now. That is important. There will be obviously a large change in the city commission, so please weigh these decisions and support the candidates that we have that are volunteering their time. They may not even know how much time they have to spend to do the job. Thank you.
Mr. Clausen.
Well, we have the Maritime Days, and the Rotary Club will be in it this year selling raffle tickets for a ride on an ultralight that Mr. Cottrell gives rides on. You see him with his kite all the time up there. So they'll be in their tent selling tickets for a ride. So thank you.
I just want to thank, at this time, ahead of time, the Maritime Committee for the work that they've done, organizing this. I know that, they had some changes. Change isn't easy, and, but, sometimes surprises. Surprises are good, and they're working hard, and, I think it's going to be another successful Maritime. And so everybody just go out there, enjoy, have fun, be safe, and, if you see any of the committee around, thank them for the work that they're doing. Yes, with that, that's it.
I just want to thank Lynn Zarowski. Lynn's worked really, really hard for this city for a long time as our rec director. I'm glad she's going to finally go out and enjoy herself and not have to deal with all the stuff from the city. She deserves it. She deserves to have a good retirement, and we're going to really, really, really miss her. And but I want to wish her well, and I'm glad she took the plunge. It's a good thing. And I also want to thank everybody that came out to the Kids Day for the Old Newsboys. I know Ray talked about it, but it was really a good day. We had invited the fire department, and the police department showed up, and I apologize to them. We didn't even think about inviting them, because it was kind of a water event. And we were squirting all water. We had 1,000 water balloons going off over there. So it was kind of a water event, but he came over, and he was really great with the kids. And so I sent a nice thank you to our chief and told him next year that, yes, we'll make sure that we include them and that they can work with the fire department to have a friendly little competition there. But it was a great day for the kids, perfect weather, and I want to thank all the parents that brought their kids, because that's what it was for. It was for Kids Day for the Old Newsboys. So just to show our appreciation to everybody that supports us throughout the year for Christmas time. And that's it.
Yeah, I'd just like to thank Lynn also. I mean, it's a milestone when you get to retire and walk away from it all and just,
Yeah.
and you're done for a bit. So congratulations and thank you for that dedication for that long period. We have the Maritime Days coming up. We also have events out at the Banquet Center, so hopefully everybody has a good time and nobody mimics the human firecracker. Please, nobody copy what he's doing. I'm concerned about this, so, and that may just be the fireman side of me, and let's have a good time. Let's have a great festival. We've got the parade coming up on Sunday, and I have the pleasure of having the team that went to nationals for the trap team. That's actually going to be on the float with me this year. So last year I get the state championship softball, and this year I get trap. So I think we're looking pretty good in Marine City. So everybody have a great weekend, and I'm hoping I can get a motion to go into closed session.
I'll make a motion to go into closed session to review legal opinion regarding consideration of the purchase of or lease of real property.
I second that motion.
All in favor?
Roll call.
Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Clausen,
Yes.
Commissioner Turner,
Yes.
Mayor Vandembosh,
Yes.
Commissioner Avery,
Yes.
Commissioner Hendrick,
Yes?
Commissioner Callahan.
Yes.
Motion carries.
The city commission will enter into a closed session to review legal opinion regarding consideration of purchase of or lease of real property. There may or may not be any action taken upon returning to open session. Thank you.